How an Idiot Researches Rust, the video game. Black ferrous or ferric iron dioxide, magnetite or lodestone. Gray ferrous iron monoxide or woodsite, meteor or sky iron. Red hydrated ferric iron trioxide, ochre or hematite or rust. The zombie game Rust will be 10 years old as of 2023, December 25th, and was set on Happas or Prison Island and or Savas or War Island, 10 degrees south of the equator in the year 2024, and on May the 10th. The server-side timer says it's wipe day at that point. You can look this up in the backstory and lore list. Monthly wipe, repopulation unit survival test, Rust. 1 of 4 nukes in a silo. 8-mile across blast area. 450 kiloton explosion for each of the 3, not 4, Mk-12 reentry vehicle cones that represent each nuke. That may or may not be a nuke. On a LGM 30G Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile, used as a multiple independent targetable reentry vehicle. Yada 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 yada. This is now a thing in the storyline and lore. For those of you who aren't aware, an 8-mile across blast area, many video game engines use a granularity to how fine they will allow you to place objects in the game engine. For instance, Unreal 2 engine, which is very relatable at this point, allows an area that's about 7 miles across, but diagonally about 8 miles across, for you to place things in a 2 to the whatever power area. Obviously, you can scale things up and down. You can make things that are much smaller than would be even considered 1 unit of distance movement, but you get the idea that this is one of the limits in it. This is a procedurally generated game in the case of Rust and many other games because it's an easier way to make terrain and placement of objects. In Unreal Engine, you use them as a decoration painting function, or you tell it to randomize it, and the decorations just are pickup items. See also my previous video where I covered all sorts of subjects like Tier 0 activities. I'll list back part of the title. No tool or tool bench, rock, and wood. Primitive or prim locked Rust Tier 0, known by default. Gatherer only, not even hunter. You can just find, collect, and exploit these items. And it listed things like water and food, cloth material processing, picking up a rock on the ground being the equivalent to 50 stones as a cluster, 50 wood per unit dead stump pickups, and all the things you can make from the stone and wood, including the buildings. Not including scrap metal, not going to tier, whatever you want to call that. Also involving how much it costs for twigs, wood, and stone, and now I'm including sheet metal in another video. For making all sorts of things, including ramps and that sort of thing. I've updated that old video, and that's useful. Now, because of that and a bunch of other things, and watching other people doing YouTube videos, I decided to do this video on things I find that should be discussed about it. Again, we did the Rust lore and the atomic bomb as the update, and all the hypothetical histories behind it. We're going to do no tool bench, no rock, no primitive, just primitive Rust Tier 0, known by default, gather only strategy, collect and exploit what you can find, part 2. Lights. The big bugaboo in the game is that it's been literally night and day when it comes to doing things. Recently, Rust made everything dead black at night. Now, if they did that seasonally, like they made it to where you have pseudo-twilight during summer versus winter, I understand. But I don't think that's what they're doing, so let's move on. Workbench Level 0 or user-made. Omni-directional lights, mostly. or entirely. I'm going to bring up an option here. Player, starter, free, torch, and club. It can be a club, it can be a torch, and it can light a room and other things. It is not required to light things on fire like a campfire I'm going to bring up here in a minute, but in the logic of the game, it would be required to be there. It would be like your lighter in other video games. The idea here is it's an extremely long duration, if not infinite duration, light source. Don't forget that you have it. Anyway, 100 wood, user-made, 6 wood per minute campfire. Usually the first thing people do and get. However, here are some others. Now, these are not, quote, known by default. You can just pick up random items to get it in most cases, but these are nearly tier 0. We're going to call it tier 0.5. Low-grade fuel requirement for these, mostly. 5 low-grade fuel combined with 15 cloth to make a candle hat. This is a lot like making some of the other things that involve cloth and low-grade fuel. It uses 1 low-grade fuel per minute, and it holds 40 minutes maximum. We're looking at timing in real time versus rust time. A night is like 15 minutes, depending on the server. Some of them are different, but as far as I know, it's 15 minutes. 10 low-grade fuel, 20 wood, and an empty tuna can to make a lamp. 1 low-grade fuel for 10 minutes. Okay, 50-minute max capacity. Then we get 15 low-grade fuel combined with 50 fragments, metal fragments, for a potentially 83-hour lantern at 1 low-grade fuel per 10 minutes, or 500-minute max capacity, or 500 low-grade. It can also be used to store low-grade if you're running out of space. That one is one of the best options, but here we go with tier whatever. Go to the vending machine at whatever monument and buy night vision goggles for 200 scrap. It's workbench level 0-ish, and you can technically collect the scrap to do it. It's not immediately you grab these things like grab wood, grab stone, make a stone axe, but it's on a similar level. All you're doing is grabbing scrap and then combining it with the vending machine you find at one of the things. That's workbench level 0-ish, and I'm going to qualify it. Versus, and this is the next one, a similar effect. Here we go. 65% brightness, 80% contrast, 2.2 gamma, and 65% vibrane, if that's available, on your graphics card. A hack setting that turns night to day, literally. It's just using the data that's in the video to give you something of a view. As soon as the sun starts coming up, you're going to have to turn it off because everything's wrong. You can also technically go into the game settings and do something similar. This can be a quick set setting for your video card if you make a link on your desktop. You'd have to minimize the game, flip the desktop, don't have anything on the desktop, make your desktop dead black, use the dark mode. But that would be better than 200 scrap for night vision goggles. How long does night vision goggles last? Can you easily find them? Most of these things can be found. Workbench level 1. I didn't go beyond 0, because the whole point of this video series is not using the workbench. But here's some items that I'm going to include. A miner's hat, 1 low-grade fuel per minute, 100-minute maximum, unidirectional light. It doesn't show in every direction, but it definitely points back at you, like the joke about tracers working both ways. It costs 10 low-grade fuel, 15 cloth, and 50 frags. Again, stuff that can be gotten, collected, and combined, but it needs a workbench level 1. Workbench level 1 or tier 1 workbenches exist at some of the monuments. Again, combine a monument like combining the vending machine with components you can technically get. You can find these. This is going beyond picking things up. This is going around and finding them in scrap piles with work boxes, or going to a mining area, that sort of thing. You can find the materials. We're doing not tier 0 but tier 0.5 because it's still gathering and combining, but you are using some resources normally it would be needed. Workbench 1 only here in this case. Then there's the 3 high quality metal. It's a stretch to say you'd find it. A blueprint that you have to find or gain. Unidirectional weapon flashlight with no time limit. Okay, that sounds good. Versus 30 frags unidirectional normal flashlight that can also work as a club that you don't have to mount to a gun. It doesn't have a time limit apparently, and again, you do it at a tier 1. Now, the unidirectional weapon flashlight, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong, has been shown in a couple of videos of people setting the gun down on a rack or against something and pointing it up, or detaching it and pointing it up. That seems like a bug in the game. And I'm going to rant about flashlights in a minute. I'm not an expert in the game of Rust. I'm just observing what you can look up on the internet, and I'll tell you why at the end of the video why. But I do know about flashlights, and I might make a video separate on that. Workbench Level 2 lights include 10 high-quality metal, HQM, 2 tech trash, and you can make it using the night vision goggle blueprint night vision goggles, or just, again, buy it. Again, you can be totally tier 0 on most of this stuff. The night vision goggles seems like the best bet, and then, again, you can just find flashlights and find weapons lights anywhere near a mine or any other place you pseudo-logically could find it. And then the tool cupboard. There's a lot of confusion about the tool cupboard. I'm just going to bring this up really quickly. No, I don't know anything about this from playing the game, and people who play the game get this wrong too. Make a square rectangle out of squares. It'll be 3 across, 3 down, 3 over, and a dead spot in the middle, and then put your tier 1 in the middle of it. Your tool cupboard, TC. How far does it say you have building rights? Okay, now do it again, and wasting the materials. Make one, but put your TC on a foundation. It extends it. The tool cupboard max range is listed variously at 25 or 50 meters. It's listed as 6, 8, or 9 square foundations. It's a 9 square foundation surface area, 3 by 3 area, without the TC being on anything. And then if you're on the foundation, it extends it and tracks around the foundation that you do, and an extra foundation outside-ish. The idea is to keep you from being able to build on the foundation and anywhere close to it. It's to reduce the likelihood of someone being able to jump over a fence or over a wall. The idea of it being a certain number of squares out from it is always shown in videos of people leaving those squares connected to TC. There's a huge amount of misinformation about this. Also, I should point out, most of the wikis and websites are outdated. Some of them don't show you a history to show you the last update was 2016. If you have more current knowledge, it's because you've been playing the game. I'm not playing the game. Why am I researching it? I want to reverse engineer the video game Rust and make it an Unreal Engine 2. Because I think I can. I'm cheating by using some of the information I'm learning by reading in Postal 2. It has almost all the components if you squint. Okay, next thing on flashlights. This is a rant. I'm one of the obsessive people 10 years ago that was into upgrading every flashlight to LED technology, and we're the people who got our hands dirty soldering and designing things, and most of you are benefiting from it, including any Tesla car you see driving around is using circuits that were invented by community people who aren't given credit. Number 2, a flashlight should work at least as good as a mag light converted to LED. You substitute one of the batteries up towards the front for an inverter circuit, commonly called that. It's actually a jewel thief. You put an LED in it that does everything the bulb does, where you take off the cap, it's omnidirectional, you put on the cap, it's a very focusable beam, and you make it run on one AA battery. If it doesn't do that, it's shit. Just saying. Next, I might do a video on what I would do different, because I might do it, if I made my own Rust knockoff. Next, it won't be a Rust knockoff, it'll be a DayZ knockoff, which is what Rust was originally a knockoff of, and many other games. If I can do it. I may never be able to do it. Anyway, I hope this video has been useful for you. It's some updated information and a complaint about outdated information. The face punch pages, the Rust wiki, and fan pages are all outdated, but they're listed below in links because that's the best I can work with. Everything's outdated if they keep changing it every week. That's how it works. But yeah, I think the oil lamp is the best one. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.